Hello, are you ready to experience Latin jazz like you've never heard it before? Are you ready to experience original compositions in a way that will be sure to make you want to stomp your feet, shake your shoulders, and nod your head? Well, stay tuned. We have a great interview with Mr. John Krosnick of the Lunar Octet. You are sure to be delighted. This is WJZZ Detroit Radio Entertainment with a special interview for you. Check it out. Hello, hello, hello. This is Jewel Leonard with WJZZ Detroit Radio, and we are at the Dirty Dog Jazz Cafe in Grosse Pointe, and we are with Mr. John Krosnick, who is the leader of the Lunar Octet. And this is a very interesting story, a great band, and I'm just going to go ahead and start this interview, and you're really going to love this. So, John, first of all, thank you so much for reaching out to us. We're so excited to be here with you at the Dirty Dog Jazz Cafe. Why don't we start out by you sharing with the WJZZ family and audience and friends about the Lunar Octet and how long you've been together, and how did you pull that off to be together for so long?
I will tell you that, Jewel. I want to start off by thanking you so much for this interview and the opportunity to meet the WJZZ family, and to thanks to you and to Roger for recreating this landmark media organization, WJZZ in Detroit. We in the Lunar Octet are really glad you're doing it, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thank you.
The band itself is celebrating our 40th anniversary this
40th
year.
anniversary.
We started in a garage in Ann Arbor 40 years ago.
Wow.
With just kind of a dream, sort of a vision of possible music that we might create, but really no vivid direction at all for what we were going to do. And it was just kind of experimenting and trying different things. And eventually this band became the entity it is today, which is playing a mix of original Latin jazz music that is, happily for us, reaching audiences around the world. Awesome. We're so honored with that.
Awesome. Now, is it the original? I'm gonna scoot back here, and so is it the original 8? Are you still the original 8 that were in the garage there?
Well, so first of all, we're not good at math because there's actually 9 of us now.
Oh, wait, did I get that wrong?
No, you got it right.
The 9.
But we're the screw ups here,
No.
We have a very special guest who's playing with us, Olman Piedra, who's a Latin percussion expert. He's actually a professor at the University of Toledo.
Oh, wow.
And he's a real expert in Latin percussion, and we are very lucky to have him in the band. So
awesome. Real treat.
Yeah, and there's about half of the band is back from the early 80s, and the rest of us are people who have kind of come in over the years. And so it's a mix of like the founders and the newbies. Okay,
now tell me, for the band, for those aspiring bands that are out there, how did you work through the dynamic of just being together for so long? I mentioned, there's longer than most marriages and companies and all sorts of stuff. So what magic words do you have or advice for others out there?
In the music world, it's so hard to create a band and to have some impact and to feel that you're doing something different, because there's so much competition. There's so many great talented players out there that to find a place for yourself where you can be proud of what you're doing and feel like it's worthwhile, it's difficult. And we feel really lucky because in that garage, when we were first kind of trying to envision the music, we were definitely trying to create stuff unlike anything else that was out there. And the thing that's remarkable is now, 40 years later, the reviewers of our last CD are saying exactly the same thing. Wow. They're saying the music is still very unique, and it's Latin jazz, but it's not traditional Latin jazz. And so people who know that genre listen and realize it's like different and fresh. And what's amazing is it sounds fresh, even though some of it's like 30 years old.
Wow.
So we that's why, I think knowing that you're on a mission where listeners love it. I will tell you that the peak gigs for this band, one was shortly after we began in the 1980s. We played in something called the WEMU Depot Town Jazz Competition in Ypsilanti. And this was a competition where a lot of bands wanted to be a part of it, and we made our way to the finals. And the finals were this performance with 500 people in the audience in a big tent in Depot Town. And they knew this was a competition. They knew these were the best bands. And we got up on the stage, and with this crowd screaming, it was just an incredible high for us.
Wow, we need to bring that back.
Yeah, exactly. And we knew at that moment, wow, we're doing something people like. Like we had done little bars and restaurants.
Oh,
and
that was your first big.
Like, this was big,
Wow.
And then a few years later, we were at what was called at the time the Montreux Detroit Jazz Festival. It's now the Detroit Jazz Festival, but back then it was the Montreux Detroit Jazz Festival.
Remember.
And we were the opening act for the NPR national broadcast from that festival.
Oh my gosh.
And again, you can listen there. It's on YouTube now. You can see the video of that performance.
Wow.
Crowd going crazy. Wow. And again, it's like you have one experience like that last 1 hour, and you realize, oh my God, we have something here.
Yes.
And so that excitement, that energy, that sense of creation. It's like when a little baby pops out. Like you just look at this little baby and you think, oh my God, I created this thing. It's an incredible privilege.
Right.
And it's true for the music too. And we all knew that we did our parts to bring that music to fruition.
Right.
And that's, I think, what holds the band together. And the truth is that, we were all here in Ann Arbor, but Steve Hiltner, the saxophone player and principal composer, moved to North Carolina. I moved to California. We started to kind of physically disintegrate and took some years off for a while. And when we were getting close to our 35th anniversary, I said, maybe we should get this band back together again. And people were like, yes, absolutely, no problem. Did a sold-out show in Ann Arbor.
Wow.
And we got to get back to the business here. So it's been fun ever since.
Awesome.
So this year, this last 2022, I'm just speechless. We did a 1-week tour of England. We headlined at the Scarborough Jazz Festival over there.
Wow.
Big room, 500 people, same thing.
Wow.
Wonderful reception. Played lots of clubs all around England. We did 2-week tours of California.
Okay.
Playing lots of venues, festivals out there.
Nice.
And so people were like, this is fun. Let's do more traveling. Let's do more playing.
Yes.
But the most important thing was the release of our new CD. The CD is called Convergence. People can see it at lunaroctet.com, but it's on all streaming services. It's on YouTube. And, this was a combination of music we've been playing for a while and new compositions recorded in a studio in Ann Arbor and mixed by a guy who just won a Grammy, really good mixing engineer. And so we said, okay, let's just see what we can do with this. And Summit Records, which is a record label based in Phoenix, said, we want to put this record out. And so it came out on Summit. It's been broadcast on 350 radio stations worldwide.
Oh, wow.
It got reviewed in dozens of jazz publications.
Okay.
And we were speechless at the praise this record got. I mean, we like the music, but we didn't realize the jazz critics would like it.
Right.
And that's what opened up these performance opportunities.
Amazing.
People read it and they say, okay, that's cool.
Right.
We would like to have that band play at our festival or in our club.
Right. Okay, now tell us again the name of that album.
So the album is called Convergence.
Convergence, okay.
And I will do a little plug for the fact that Convergence, these days, not so many people are buying CDs. But we decided that we were going to make physical CDs because we wanted to have artwork. And in fact, we have a 20-page full-color booklet in this CD, which has pictures of the band, but also the history
like a collector's
of the band.
item.
Exactly.
Okay.
And what's really a real treat for us is that the liner notes of this CD were written by the great Michael G. Nastos.
Right.
And Michael's an important person for tonight, as you know.
Yes.
And he has been a supporter of the band ever since we were born. He was a jazz critic who was a major force worldwide in the jazz industry, writing for major magazines. He was a radio DJ on a jazz station in Ypsilanti, WEMU, for a long time.
Right.
And he was the jazz critic for the Ann Arbor News newspaper, and just an incredible expert about jazz. And it was an honor for us that he decided he loved us and he was going to help us and support us.
Yes.
And so tonight's gig here at the Dirty Dog and all of this week is actually dedicated to his memory. We lost him a few months ago after a long life in which he made a huge positive difference for jazz.
Yes. Now, can you share? We know that was a huge loss. Can you share personally, like what does that mean for you? Like, how did it impact you personally? that he's no longer with us?
I mean, the first answer to that is I can tell you that whenever I come from California where I live to Detroit, and in the past, I'm like, oh, I should call Michael. And I had that thought today, even though he's not alive anymore.
Right.
And then I thought, you know,
right.
we have had that connection for a long time. And so every so often the phone would ring when I was in California, and almost always I have a busy life, but he would almost always call when I was calm. And so he would tell me stories of jazz musicians and what he's been up to, and you know, and really embracing guy who cared about my family, my wife, my daughter.
Just a good person.
A good person. And that's the thing. You know, people think jazz critics are kind of on their high horse being nasty about people, and in fact, none of them I know are like that. What they want to do is find music that they love and are excited about, and to promote. And honestly, that's what you're doing tonight. You know, you found something that as a journalist and a broadcaster that you are excited about, and we're really honored that you've chosen us. You know,
Yay!
And so you know I don't think jazz would survive without people like you and Michael. So you know, that's why we value him. That not just for the great support that he gave us, but what he has done for the music. That it's him and an army of other people like him who are still alive, but he was important. Yeah. So we dedicate these gigs to him, and we think of him all night long, every night, and miss him. You know, and you know, it's funny because I really, you know, he didn't have an easy life. Like jazz critics are not paid a lot. And so
it's a labor of love.
Yeah, it was, and you know, the information in this guy's head, he had like the entire history of this music.
Wow. And
could tell you stories. You know, it's not like he just sat there. He could bring it out and use it. And he, you know, America is not set up to celebrate that, to make sure that people like that have money. Europe is more, I think, appreciative of the arts in ways that make lives for folks like that, you know, more workable. Right. But I think, you know, at some level, he was entitled to wonder, like, do people care about what I'm doing? Does it matter? And what I love is how much love has come out for him since his passing. And every time somebody posts something on Facebook about him, or every time somebody organizes a concert to celebrate him, I just smile thinking, Michael would love this. Right.
Awesome. So you know what? Listen, this is opening night here at the Dirty Dog Cafe for the Lunar Octet in honor of Michael Nessos. You want to get out here. I was just listening to Soundcheck, okay? And I am super excited about what's going on here tonight. So if you have not already contacted to get your tickets, how can they get tickets?
It's actually a little tricky. The shows are pretty heavily booked. I gather there are some seats available. Maybe Saturday night is sold out. But
Saturday's sold out. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, people should call the Dirty Dog, and I think they're often so busy you have to leave a message. But I heard them calling everybody back this afternoon.
Okay, it's worth it. It'll be worth it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the wonderful thing for people who haven't been to the Dirty Dog, the first thing is food is great. So, you know, people come for the meals as much as for the music. Okay. And for the musicians, what we love is there's a sign saying, please be quiet while you're eating, because, you know, pay attention to the music. Yes. That's what our favorite jazz clubs are like. And it's very intimate. It's not like a big theater. So you can actually feel a connection to the musicians. And the acoustics are great. Sound guy is incredible, Jeffrey, really dedicated to making sure. It's just like he's been emailing me for days asking questions to make sure he's got every detail right. And you know, Willie, who runs the place, he's got a huge heart and a love of jazz and a respect for musicians and a dedication to preserving jazz, just like you guys do. And you know, so it's this convergence of venue, musicians, media, and the public. And you know, we're nowhere without the public. But happily, you know, it's popular enough that we encourage everybody, you know, call the Dirty Dog and see what your schedule lines up with coming down to hear us.
So now my final question is Convergence, the name of the album. And you just mentioned it in what you were sharing here. Is there a story behind that name?
Absolutely. The story behind Convergence is, you know, if you think about us having made music for 20 years and taken some time off and coming back together again, that literally was the convergence of 9 musicians. And, you know, when we came back together, we had to rediscover the music to some degree. Had to decide which tunes do we want to play,
Right.
pull some out, try some, it doesn't sound so good, these others are better. So there's an evolving of your new identity that has to happen when you reunite. Just like, when you date somebody and then you're apart for a while and then you come back together and you're rediscovering each other and you're kind of somewhat different after that time.
Yeah.
And for us, I think what I love is that we're better musicians now than we were years ago. And so putting us together is cool. But the idea of making a record, the burden of what are you going to call this record, there's so much pressure because you feel like you want to pick the right title that communicates the right thing to people,
right?
And we came up with some really stupid titles and luckily at some point Steve Hilton, our music director of the band, said, what about Convergence? That seems right. And everybody was like, perfect. Okay. No difference of opinion.
All right. Now you don't have to if you don't want to, but you said stupid titles. What's like the stupidest title that you came up with during that process?
I can tell you this. I can give you an answer to that, but the I think my memory is suppressing the really stupid ones that for the record. But I can tell you, here's the stupid title I can remember. Okay. It's the name of this band, Lunar Octet. It's like, what does that mean, the Lunar Octet?
I didn't even ask that question.
There's like no meaning in this name of the band. And I'll tell you how we started. We started off even worse. The first name of the band at the very beginning, it was called the Lunar Glee Club. And the concept was like we were singing through our instruments, but it was ethereal somehow, and and somehow it appealed to us in the very beginning. And then you start playing clubs, and people don't show up. And you're like, why didn't you come here to the band? Well, I thought it was like a glee club.
But the lunar part,
exactly.
The lunar, okay.
I mean, I thought it would, maybe that would overcome it, but no, they thought it was just a
okay.
So then, so we thought, all right, here's the solution. We will change the name of the band to Free Food. Then everybody will come
okay. Everybody's open for free food, right? Okay.
So we didn't do that.
Okay.
But we, how can we kind of stay close but get away from this Glee Club thing? So we changed to Lunar Octet. But there's so many bands in jazz, like really, really successful bands, like Weather Report, where the name means nothing. Another incredibly successful group right now is Snarky Puppy. What does that name mean? But the point is that people in the genre learn this is an amazing band, and it kind of doesn't matter what the name is.
Awesome.
And so sadly, we have a history of stupid names, but
no. But on that note, listen, thank you so much for making time to talk with me today about your amazing band and your love of jazz. And we at WJZZ are really honored to be here. We are excited about kind of taking that torch and bringing to you, our listeners and our supporters, great jazz exposure like this, and many days and performances and events to come. So thank you so much for tuning in. Is there anything else you want to share before we close out this great interview?
I will say to the WJZZ family out there, thank you for watching this interview. Thank you for considering hearing the Lunar Octet, and thank you for supporting Jewel and WJZZ. Many future years. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. This has been an interview with the Lunar Octet, Mr. John Krosnick, and we are going to listen to some serious Latin jazz coming to you soon. This has been Jewel Leonard, WJZZ Detroit Radio Entertainment, signing out for now. Bye. So what did you think about that interview? Wasn't that awesome? I think the two things that I really took away from it, one is I love the fact that this group has been together 40 years. That is longer than most marriages and many companies. And the fact that also the relationship that they had with Michael Nastos. I mean, this person who was such a anchor in the jazz community, and the special connection that was shared with the Lunar Octet was something that you just really don't hear every day. So I really appreciate that. Now, I know you're waiting for your special surprise. Well, what we have is some live footage from the Lunar Octet from their opening night at the Dirty Dog Jazz Cafe in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. It is a beautiful venue with great acoustics and, by the way, awesome food. So sit back, relax. It's really short, but it'll give you a little taste of the Lunar Octet. And if you really like the taste, then you can purchase their new album called Convergence, okay, by on Summit Records, and also on their website at thelunaroctet.com. Check this out. Wasn't that awesome? I told you it was going to be really, really good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And you know what? At WJZZ Detroit Radio, we support jazz both locally and all over the world as a global internet radio station. That's right. We are no longer on the FM dial at 105.9, but you can listen to WJZZ Detroit Radio the oldest jazz radio station in the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from our website on WJZZDetroitRadio.com. So, and remember that jazz is more than just a genre of music. It's a lifestyle. With WJZZ, we are here, and our mission is to help you to experience as much of jazz culture as you can handle. Again, this has been Jewel Leonard, Vice President, Marketing and Promotions with WJZZ Detroit Radio, the oldest jazz radio station in the world.